Welcome to the main ingredient here on 680 CGOB on another glorious Winnipeg weekend. If you missed the Winnipeg Beer Festival, you missed out on great craft beer, tasty craft spirits from Capital K Distillery, and if you're a beef jerky fan, you missed out on awesome craft beef jerky from a local company called Mr. Biltong. Owner Jeremy Silcox is here to tell us more. Jeremy, how was the festival for you guys?
It was great. It was a fun event. Lots of people. It was hot.
It was, oh my God, we had that beer fridge, like we had the refrigerated truck in the back from the Red Ember. He lent us his refrigerated truck, so I was loading kegs into that. I probably put 2 in that, and my shirt was soaked. I was so sweaty and hot. It was just kind of gross, but it's a good day for a beer festival, right?
Yeah, luckily there's lots of cold beer around, so we did fine.
Can handle that.
Yeah.
What made you guys want to participate in the beer festival?
Well, for me, the Biltong it goes so well with beer. They go together. It's a match made in heaven. And so we're selling in a couple tap rooms at Torque and Stone Angel.
Yep.
Hope to get
Two of my favorites.
Absolutely. Hope to get into a few more because they associate with each other. And I mean, it's a good way to get into the people who like craft beer are going to want craft jerky.
That does make sense. Okay, you know what? No matter how popular something is, I don't want to assume everybody knows what it is. So maybe we can kind of go back to the beginning. Let's talk about what beef jerky technically is and what Biltong beef jerky is.
Well, absolutely. So Biltong is a South African style of beef jerky. Mm-hmm. So the meat is cured and air-dried at room temperature, basically, as a big steak-sized piece and sliced up afterwards. It takes about a week to dry. It ends up being a lot more tender than conventional jerky, and it's lower in salt and it tastes more like real meat. It's almost like a beef prosciutto beef jerky combination.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. Beef jerky, on the other hand, is sliced into thin strips and spiced before it's dried, and it's usually cooked until it's dry, so it's a lot tougher and chewier. And I mean, for some people, they want the mouth workout, but Biltong is tender, and it's tender. Yeah.
And I'm going to jump into that in a minute.
Excellent.
All right, so you're an engineer by trade.
Yes.
So, of course, there's a story here, and I want to know, how does an engineer get into making beef jerky?
Well, it's funny because I was never a big beef jerky guy. Like, I would buy it on a road trip or whatever, but I never went out of my way to get it.
Yep.
I moved to South Africa with my job. I work for a consulting firm. I was working on a big nickel refinery expansion in South Africa, and so I went down there. I lived there for about a year and a half. I remember I'd been there for a few weeks, and there was some big meeting, like a luncheon type thing, and I was sitting at this table, and they had this stuff on the table. I'm like, I didn't know what it was. I reached over, I tried a piece, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird, but kind of good. And I didn't know at the time that it was Biltong. Mm-hmm. And then I just found myself eating more of it and more of it.
I'm going to try that again.
And I'm like,
and again.
This is all right. And so it's like Biltong is everywhere in South Africa, and I just got into it there, and I fell in love with it. Right? Yeah. I was buying it all the time. I went to like all the different shops. I drive all over town just to get the best Biltong kind of thing, right? Of which there is a lot.
Yeah.
And so I came back to home, like to Winnipeg on one of my return trips, and tried to find it here. Mm-hmm. And like there was one shop that sold it, and it was like frozen and like kind of gross, and it was only slightly better than not having it.
Yeah.
And so I got a guy at the office to teach me the basics how to make it. Started making it for myself just to feed my own. I'll call it an addiction because it really was.
So this is a guy you worked with?
Yeah, a South African guy named Koos. Taught me the basics. Yep. Gave me like a preliminary recipe to work with, and there you go. So I started making it,
which I find hilarious. Like here you are, engineer, talking about work, and hey man, can you teach me how to make?
Yeah, like I asked around, like who here makes Biltong, and they kind of people pointed me to Koos, and so I didn't know him, but I approached him, and he's like, yeah, sure, I'll teach you the basics. Yeah. And so I started making it, and while I was in South Africa, I was making like it was all right. Like, it wasn't great, but it was okay. And I'm like, all right, I'll get by.
Right.
But because I'm an engineer, over the course of several years, I made spreadsheets, and I started running trials and like do 10 different like micro variations of the recipe.
Oh, okay, so you're like a Biltong junkie. Like you were hooked.
I was absolutely hooked. And I was chasing the taste, right? Like the favorite stuff that I would drive across Johannesburg to get, I was trying that taste. And so it took me like probably I got it like pretty good after about a year, and then it was very good after like 2 years. But it took me like 3 years of messing around to like.
Are you serious?
To like nail that taste.
And you never tapped out. You just no, I'm getting it.
Well, I was still eating it, so it was good. It was fun to experiment, right?
Yeah.
And so I kept chasing it, and then I finally figured it out, and that's sort of the recipe I've been using ever since. And I was making bigger batches and I was giving it to friends and family, and everyone was like, "This is delicious. You should sell this. I would buy this." And so,
okay, wait. So, who was the first person you actually took money from for your jerky? Like you sold it to. Hey, here's jerky. Here's some money.
Actually, it's one of my engineering clients, a South African guy who works at a mine. Yeah.
So a South African guy buys jerky from a Canadian.
Yeah, and it's funny because a number of South Africans have told me that mine is the best biltong that they've tasted in Canada.
Get out of here.
At least in Winnipeg.
That's a huge compliment, right?
It absolutely is. So that's how it came to be. So about a year and a half ago, I said, let's make this happen. How hard could it be? Turns out it's actually fairly hard to get like a food processing certificate for like producing meat and everything. But I persevered, and so now here we are.
So during that whole time, because again, it is a long process to get any product on the shelf.
Absolutely.
Was there ever a time where you're going, man, I'm just going to make it for myself. I'm just going to make it for my friends. Sell it to my friends. Maybe their friends. I'm just done.
Well, I certainly thought about it, but the whole selling contraband meat was... I was like,
out of the back of a truck.
I thought about it. I kind of wanted to.
You're an engineer. Well, I sell meat too. You want some?
Yeah, exactly. I imagined myself wearing a trench coat, standing in an alley. Hey, you want to buy some dried meat? Like, it's super weird. I decided to keep it above board.
Man, I'm glad Jeremy decided against selling meat from a trench coat and went legit. So many jokes on that one. Mr. Biltong was so busy sampling and selling their Biltong Beef Jerky at the beer festival, I didn't even get a chance to try any. So Jeremy brought some for me to try and weigh in. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back to The Main Ingredient. My name is Kevin Burgin. Jeremy Silcox, owner of Mr. Biltong Beef Jerky Company, located right here in Winnipeg, is my guest today. And Jeremy, how long did it take you to develop your beef jerky and get the flavors right?
It took about almost a year of development to go from, because I was making it artisanally, like I'd add the black pepper and then the white pepper and the coriander, and I was doing it like sort of by eyeball, and there's variation, and I obviously wanted my recipe to be consistent, right? So I changed the way I was making it, did a bunch of testing. I had a group of friends and family who were helping me beta test to like refine the recipe, because what I like the best isn't necessarily what everybody else is going to like the best, right? So, so with that, we got there. In September of last year, there was the Great Manitoba Food Fight.
Right. Let's talk about that.
Well, so with that one, I was like, I heard about it, and like I wanted to enter, but you need to have a food processing permit.
Yep. And while you're talking, this package is sitting here. I'm going to try some while you're talking. Okay.
So you need to have a permit. I didn't have my permit yet, and I was like, I don't even know if I can do this. And I was like, you know what, I'll give it a shot. I'll apply and see what happens. And they had said that the deadline, like we'd let all winners know by this Friday coming up. And so I was like, okay, great. The Friday came and went. I didn't hear anything. The Monday came and went. And I'm like, okay, I didn't get in. And I remember saying to my wife, I'm relieved, because I don't know how I'm going to get the permit in 3 weeks and get all of that and make the batch and prepare the presentation and whatever else.
The whole thing is daunting.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm relieved we didn't get in. Tuesday morning they called me and they said that I'm a finalist. So
shut up.
So I'm like, okay, so let's do this. So I got a temporary permit for the competition, made a batch in a commercial kitchen and whatever else, and we won the bronze medal.
That's pretty good.
So yeah.
You have to make it in front of people, right?
Well, we served it and had to talk about it. So the Biltong, because it takes a week to make, I couldn't make it in front of them.
Right. Not even the magic of television is going to help.
No. Maybe like a time-lapse video or something. But
okay, so you make it, talk about it, they try it in front of you and in front of everybody?
Yeah, and
what was that like?
The judges really liked it. It was fun.
Was it?
Yeah, we had a good time.
You weren't nervous?
Of course I was, but it was good. The judges were asking me easy questions anyway.
Like what?
They asked about what I was planning to do for processing and what I was planning to do.
This is good. What am I eating here? What is this?
This is you're eating the original flavor, so that is the one that started it all. I've got two other flavors. I've got a spicy cayenne, which has just a little bit of heat, and then a habanero for those who like it hot.
What flavor is this?
That's original. It's made with malt vinegar. There's Worcestershire in there. And the spices are, there's salt, obviously. There's black and white pepper, coriander, and just a little bit of golden sugar. That's
not typical jerky, as in it's like meaty.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, because it's cured and air dried instead of being cooked, like you retain some of that meaty texture and the meaty flavor. Good. Well, thanks.
I like it. All right. So who was the first person you told when you actually were thinking of making it a business? Like everybody's telling you, oh, it's great, this and that, and then you're like, okay, I'm doing this.
My wife, and she's also my business partner. So
obviously she didn't think you were insane. She thought
she did. She did. Yeah.
Did she at first?
Yeah.
Did you have to convince her?
Yeah, and I still need to convince her sometimes.
Honey, we're gonna go serve jerky at plus 38 at a beer festival. Come on, it'll be fun.
Yeah, exactly. But it actually is fun. It is fun because so many people they don't know what biltong is. They've never heard of it.
No.
And that was one of the things, like when I've been toying with the idea of starting this company for a long, long time. Like 7-8 years ago was when I first said we should do this Mr. Biltong thing. My brother, who does all of our graphic design work, at that time he made up a bunch of logos and that kind of stuff, and I had it sitting in my email for like 7 years until I actually like picked one and we started turning it into something. But yeah, so it was my wife, and then my family, and they've all been really supportive of us.
Well, like when you said you're going to do it, they weren't surprised. You'd probably been making it for so long.
Well, yeah, they all love it, and they were some of the people that like you could probably sell this kind of idea,
right.
And so it is really as a family affair.
Yep.
You know, my dad helps with packaging, my mom helps now too because we were producing more and can't keep up.
This is awesome.
My brother does our graphic design. My sister-in-law does like a lot of the photography for our website and everything.
You're a talented family. They save you a ton of money, man.
They sure do. I pay them in meat. It goes well. Everybody's happy.
That's fantastic, man. That's crazy. All right, so hey, let's talk about the products. Let's talk about
Sure.
There is biltong. You have two different products. Maybe you can talk about them and describe them.
Well, for sure. So biltong, which you're having right now,
and you have to talk loud because I'm still eating this stuff, right?
All right, yeah.
I'm still chewing.
So that's the flagship product. It is tender, meaty strips. I mean, it
is. It's very tender,
and that's what makes it so tasty.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 3 different flavors of that, and then I make they're called stokkies as well, and they're basically it's like Afrikaans word, it means sticks. So it's more of a conventional jerky texture, dried in strips, but uses the same spices. So a little bit chewier, but same flavors.
When you decided to make it, what's the time frame that it took for you to actually? When you decided to make it, to you actually having it in this package ready to sell?
It took about 11 months.
What was that process like?
It was time-consuming and arduous and tiring and frustrating and at times fun, mostly tiring. It was a lot of work. It was a lot more work than I expected. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting because the product isn't known by the authorities who like register this sort of thing,
which makes the process even longer.
Yeah, so it took some convincing and some education and that sort of thing. And I mean, the government worked with me. Manitoba Agriculture, they were good to work with. It just took some time to jump through all the hoops and ensure that the product would be safe for consumers.
My favorite time is coming up after the break. Time to taste the jerky. Mr. Biltong jerky, that is. More main ingredient coming up. Kevin Burgin here, main ingredient. Welcome back to the show. You know what I love? Manitobans. Jeremy Silcox and his wife Megan own Mr. Biltong Beef Jerky Company here in Winnipeg, and he makes it in the kitchen that my homeboys from Prairie Box, which is Winnipeg's first subscription meal service, probably the largest, he makes it in their kitchen. It's Manitobans helping other Manitobans. Anyways, it's time for me to taste the Biltong Beef Jerky. Wow. Well, it is very good. I do like the packaging, that's for sure. But most of all, I like what's inside.
Well,
that's
thanks.
What counts, right?
That is what counts.
So you do both now?
We do both, yeah.
No, I mean you, as in you're an engineer and you do this.
Oh, yeah. And I've got 2 young kids, so...
How old are they?
2 and 4.
So you have 2 jobs and 2 kids and a wife.
That's right.
Wow. So what's your end game here? Your end game is what? So that you sell so much jerky that you're the jerky guy, you're the biltong guy, and you're no longer an engineer. What's your plan?
Maybe when I first started this, like the vision wasn't to go like big commercial. It was I'll just like make some for myself and sell some extra to subsidize my habit. That was sort of the view, right? Mm-hmm. So this way the biltong I'm eating is a tax deduction, right? Mm-hmm, yeah, mm-hmm. That was the original idea. Mm-hmm. It didn't actually work out that way because at that point I wasn't aware that I needed to be producing in a commercial kitchen, mm-hmm. and so that changes things. So now I have to sell a certain volume to like make up the cost of rent and that sort of thing.
Is that how you do it now? That it's made in a commercial kitchen?
Yeah, yep. Yeah. Have you heard of Prairie Box? I think. Yeah. So
you make it at Prairie Box?
Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Brandon and
awesome.
Lewis are great guys. So,
Yep.
I use their kitchen off hours.
Yep.
And
Just like they used to before they got that place.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, so they've been very supportive, and that's great. And the kitchen is pretty close to my house too, so it's convenient.
Oh, you're in River Heights.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So you walk over, make your jerky, go back home and chill out.
Exactly.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's a good setup. So, again, now you're where you are, where you are.
Yeah.
How have the plans changed? When you talk about Mr. Biltong,
Well,
what do you want to do?
yeah, we'll see. Like it's going really well. The response has been really positive. People are really enjoying it. Every month I'm selling more than the last. So
Right. And the beer festival, obviously, that was pretty successful.
absolutely it was. It was a great way to expose it to a lot of people. I might get another brewery out of it for a sales location, and we'll see what
Right? Not
happens.
another one. Let's get you in a few of them.
Yeah, okay. That
Like,
sounds
it
good.
makes sense to me, right?
It goes so well.
It does.
It goes so well. Anyway, so yeah, we'll see. The next step is we've only been selling since like December of last year, right? So we're just past the half a year mark, really. I want to see what happens in the fall because a couple of the places where we're selling, like we're at Crampton's, we've got a special regenerative grass-fed beef product that we make with their beef. And also there's a Johnson's Fruit Market out on Highway number 1. They're shutting down, obviously, once the fall hits.
Right.
And so not sure what's going to happen with demand exactly. But the next step will be to hire somebody. I'm going to be increasing my drying capacity, doubling the number of dehydrators I have.
Yep.
Hire somebody to help so I'm not spending more time at it and see where it goes from there.
Which is great, right? The business has got to pay for itself, and as you expand, it's got to pay for the things that you need in order to keep expanding, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right now, the plan is to keep it as a side project, but we'll see. I mean, if it gets to the point, like I enjoy what I do. I enjoy being an engineer, and I'm not planning to quit my day job anytime soon. But as long as I can maintain a little bit of work-life balance, I'll keep doing that. But if the Biltong stuff gets big enough, I may have to make some hard decisions.
What do your coworkers say?
Well, a lot of them were beta testers, so they really like it.
They bring it up. Hey, man, so what kind of beef jerky are you making this week? Or, what are the next flavors coming up? And
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I test on them sometimes because it's pretty
Really?
convenient. Like at a break time, we got a meeting room and come in and do some like blind taste tests or whatever to refine the recipe. And
we're having a meeting. Where's the jerky, man?
Yeah,
Where's
exactly.
the jerky? You came and you didn't bring any jerky. Like,
Yeah.
what is your problem, right?
yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Okay, so, hey, maybe let's talk about where people can buy the beef jerky.
Yeah, okay, for sure. So there's currently 10 locations in Manitoba where you can buy our products. What you can get at each location kind of varies a little bit. So the best thing to do is go to our website,
Yes, I'm looking at it right now.
mrbiltong.ca. We've got the buy local section, so there's a map there, and you can see what's closest
It's
to
pretty
you.
neat.
And
Parkline Coffee,
yeah,
Prepared Pleasures / Perry Brox, Stone Angel Brewing, Montague.
in St. Vidal Center. Yeah,
Wow. Fromagerie Bothwell, Torque Brewing, Crampton's Market, Olive Tree, The Cellar Door, Johnson's Fruit Market, and the vendor reorder button, which gets used a ton by these vendors, yes?
Well, actually, it's not set up yet, so it takes you to a site, but it's not operational. So we email and call.
Well, I'm going to press it 50 million times and get it to work. Okay, hey, Jeremy, in closing, my last question is, how do people get a hold of you? So the whole 9 yards, your phone number, social media, website, and whatever else you want to give them. Your cell phone number, the name of your kids, whatever.
Yeah, right. Maybe we'll keep that stuff for now. But
Your address.
we've got a website, mrbiltong.ca. So that's mrbiltong.ca. There's a contact us page on there to get our email, or on social media. It's Mr. Biltong Jerky on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and we're always on those accounts. So very easy to get a hold of us that way.
Is it the same person that's taking the pictures of your products that's doing your social media, or you guys take care of that?
It's a little bit of both.
Yep.
So my wife, Megan, handles a lot of the social media in terms of what we're posting and that kind of thing. The professional-looking photographs come from my brother Steve and his wife Mel, and they're the ones doing the graphics design as well. So
It is a family affair.
it really is a family affair.
Oh, my God, that would be so expensive. That's awesome that you actually have people to do that for
It really
you.
helps.
How do you know Susie Parker?
I worked for her at special functions at the University of Manitoba like 20 years ago.
Yeah. She came up to me, she's like, I know Jeremy. And I'm like, what? She's like, I don't even want to say how. It's so long ago. we're gonna feel really old when I tell you.
Yeah, like literally it was 20 years ago.
Get out of here.
Like the end of the 90s. When I was going through engineering school, I'd work security or bartending at some of the special events at the U of M. So,
man, the world is small.
It sure is.
Winnipeg is crazy.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, man.
Oh, it was great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for the jerky.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Beef jerky time. You want some beef jerky?
Oh, please.
There's plenty, you know.
That was Eddie Murphy in Trading Places, which was really applicable for that last segment. And thank you to Jeremy Silcox, the owner of Mr. Biltong Beef Jerky. And we are going to jump from jerky all the way over to vegan food with Jesse and Candace from the Roughage Eatery up next. What are your first thoughts when you think about vegan food? Well, you can forget all that. I met two women who have changed the way I think about vegan food by showing me it can be tasty, healthy, and delicious. Candace Tonalette and Jesse Hodel from Roughage Eatery are here, so I'm going to hit them with some hard-hitting 680 CGOB news-type questions. So, ladies, I'll ask first, what is Roughage Eatery, and how did it begin? Hard-hitting, I told you, that's a hard-hitting question, man.
Definitely, yeah. Well, we started Roughage Eatery in September 2017, and it just became that we've always wanted to have some sort of like cafe or restaurant. We tried something, we thought about something like 5-ish years ago, and it didn't really work out. I wanted to do vegetarian or vegan, but everyone said that, that's not going to fly. It's not going to work in Winnipeg. So as time goes on.
Do you think they were right 5 years ago?
Perhaps.
Or do you think maybe you bought into what they were selling you? You know what I mean? Sometimes when too many people tell you things, you think, well, I guess I got to be wrong, right? So did you think maybe it was a combination of both? Or,
For sure, both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially, because I don't have, a culinary background.
Right.
And then to want to do something so crazy. Well, not crazy, but...
You think it's crazy. It's not crazy.
It's a little crazy.
No, it's not crazy.
Okay.
I'm sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
That's okay. Yeah, the Roughage Eatery is it's vegan food that is just comfort food that is just like your regular day, everyday meals, like Manitoban meals, but just veganized.
So, Candace, when you guys met, were you a vegan?
No.
Were you interested in being a vegan?
I was very interested in becoming a vegan.
What interested you about it?
The whole plant-based, lessen your carbon footprint on the world, just stuff like that, like not harming animals.
Yeah, I'm conflicted. I'm so conflicted.
As am I. As am I.
I don't want to see how it's done, but I do like the end result. I feel so bad saying
Yeah.
that too, right? It's very bad. Okay, so you started off as vegetarian, right?
Yes.
What made you change over to vegan?
I found out I was allergic to eggs, and that was really hard to give up.
So your allergy to eggs did what to you? Just did it make you sick?
Yes. Yeah, I started getting really sick, and I went to the doctors, and they weren't able to tell me anything that was wrong with me.
Which is harsh too, right? Sometimes when you go to the doctor, you realize you got to kind of take your own health in your own hands, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I got a blood test a blood allergy test, and it showed me the different items that I was allergic to. And
besides eggs, what else?
I think the chicken was also.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So
I guess it makes sense, right?
Hard,
Chicken and egg. I guess.
Yeah. So I can't quite remember. Those are the major things. But regular meat or like pork and beef don't sit well with me.
Right.
So it was easy to give them up. And once I did give them up, I couldn't believe how good I felt until I wasn't eating it anymore.
Like almost instantly?
It took a couple weeks because it was really hard to give it up, and the cravings were really strong, and it was really hard to satisfy that heavy feeling in your belly after you eat just a bowl of plants. Right?
Dude, you don't got to tell me. Sometimes, yeah, right? When you eat, sometimes you want to feel satisfied and full.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to get over that I just ate something and maybe I'm not as full as I was before, but I am satisfied. Right?
Yeah, it's like just retraining your brain of what is satisfied to you. So that took a little while, but once I figured out how to eat, and I couldn't believe on how good I felt.
No stomach pains.
No, I had so much more energy. I was more alert. I felt great. I had I felt like on top of the world, basically.
You've always been dabbling in cooking, right? You've always been a cook, like a home cook.
Yeah, since I was little.
Okay, so what made you want to cook for others now, especially when it came to making vegan dishes, right?
Well,
There's a whole new challenge into it.
Yeah. It's easier for me because I've been cooking this way for so long. But Candace and I, we really love entertaining. We love feeding people. And to see when people really enjoy the food, it's so exciting. And it just, like, pushes you even further to keep trying new recipes, to keep veganizing.
Veganizing.
Yeah. It's
awesome.
it's fun, right? Like the tocino that I make. Like,
Yes.
you would never think a Filipino would eat tofu tocino, but
Yep.
it's actually really good.
It's really good. It's fantastic. You guys do a lot of entertaining. Before, you used to make, with your friends, dishes with meat in it. And all of a sudden now, first you're going vegetarian, and now you're going vegan over the years. How is it to have them change over? They're coming over now, and they'll probably like, what is this?
Yeah,
Right?
they definitely ask what's in it, but they're always satisfied. They're always shocked on how good it can be, just because the perceived notion that vegan food is like rabbit food and just salads.
Right.
And that's,
That literally is the perception, 100%.
yeah.
What's
Right.
great about our food, though, when vegetarian guests, is that our food looks like, it looks like tocino. The
Like
tofu
this
doesn't
looks
look like,
good.
Yeah, it looks like
In fact,
pork.
I'm going to eat some right now.
Yeah, and our pepperonis, right? You tried that. That actually looks like pepperoni, and it tastes like pepperoni.
Okay, I told you guys, my mom downed that yesterday when I brought it home. She finished it. I was kind of mad at her, but she'll live. Okay, so what is in this, right? This tofu tocino.
Tofu tocino, yes. So it's tofu that's been prepared and marinated for about 2 days.
Smells great.
It's very garlicky, which is always good. So with garlic and pineapple juice and a couple secret ingredients to make it special.
Yeah, secret ingredients. Yeah, I like the
All
secret
plant-based.
ingredients.
It's all, absolutely, it's all. There's only like 5 ingredients in the whole thing.
Really?
So it's pretty simple.
I got to hide that from my mom. I can't bring this home. Right, or she'll just down it, right? All right, so let's talk about the Roughage Eatery menu. So chicken chive dumplings, that sounds interesting. What's that about?
I want to eat dumplings. They always look so good and they smell so good, but like I said, like I can't eat chicken. So I made chicken out of like vital wheat gluten. I grew garlic chives in my garden, so I thought it'd be a great idea to put them together, and they turned out pretty good.
You're like a food scientist, right? You just kind of...
She's a mad scientist.
You are. Seriously,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, okay, well, I like that. I can't eat that. How can I make that?
Yeah.
Like, not the typical way, using other ingredients. Is that how you challenge yourself all the time?
I guess so. I enjoy to be challenged. And it's fun to do. I don't watch a lot of TV, so it's just I'm in the kitchen the whole time, and
Yep.
the best part is that you get to eat it afterwards. So you work really hard and work
Yep.
for hours and hours, and to get this like perfect little morsel of like exactly what you were looking for, it's so rewarding.
How long does it take you to come up with that, though? You try something? No, that's not it. How many trial and error things does it take?
Lots.
Yeah, it's
It's-
a long time coming with this menu. The reason why we chose that menu is because those are the things we practiced for so long,
Right.
ever since becoming vegan.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of work, a lot of trial and error, because, yeah, it's always different.
For sure.
You can research a bunch of recipes, but then you have to make your own, too.
100%. Because like we said yesterday, you may not like what someone else has made, or maybe they've added a touch too much of a certain thing that just doesn't, turn your crank.
Yeah.
So,
And a lot of times, the ingredients you do find, or the recipes you do find, have ingredients that are not plant-based, or they have ingredients that are not really found locally. So we have to adapt to that.
is it getting less challenging now? Since, the local movement is really, people are actually taking it seriously now.
Yeah, definitely. It's gotten a lot easier in the last few years.
Crazy. The pepperoni that I ate yesterday, what was that made of? That I kind of ate, that my mom downed. What was that?
So it's,
that made of?
it's seitan, so it's vital wheat gluten,
Yep.
and a bunch of spices, red wine, which makes it really
Yeah, I knew I liked it.
special. You're boozing all my food. Not all of it.
That's awesome. All right, let's see what else. The Roughage charcuterie board. What's that about?
Well, because I love to make like the pepperonis and the different meats, and like Candace loves just like huge fan of just like cheese and crackers. So is
My weakness.
because
Yeah,
I
me
can't.
too, man.
I'm really lactose intolerant, so I can't eat dairy either.
Yep.
So we make all our cheeses. So it's just nice to have like just a little spread, maybe with some fresh bread, and snack on it.
It's nice. I did snack in my car. I drove my car and ate that food. That's so bad. I didn't want to say that, but it was sitting there staring at me. And I'm like, at a red light, I'm going to eat that right now.
Yeah.
It's a perfect thing to share with people too, like when you're sitting at a table with everyone.
Yeah.
Such
It's
a
nice
great
to
thing
pick
to
at
share.
and it's
Yeah.
pretty too, right?
Yeah.
To contact Candace or Jesse for events or catering, they can be reached at roughageeatery.ca or 204-998-3190. Well, that's it for me today. Join me next week for more tasty radio here on The Main Ingredient on 680 CJOB.